Small Paintings, Big Takeaways. This is my series where I break down what I do to make little successful paintings. So it's something very feasible for everybody who's learning watercolor or just wants to refine their technique. So today we're painting a peach in watercolor, and we're gonna start from an underpainting, wet on wet. This one single step is gonna add so much interest in your painting that people are gonna have some trouble understanding the exact colors you've used. We're gonna start off with a watery mix of phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta, and this is probably the reflection from the sky, and I do like to include this reflection, this cool reflection, because the subject's local color is a warm tone. So we have yellows, we have peach tones, we have reds, dark reds. So this is going to make our peach really pop. 80% of the times, I start planning from the local color. I first identify the values that I wanted to have, and usually I choose somewhere between 5, 6, and 7 for the midtones. And this peach right here couldn't be the most perfect subject because it gives me plenty of room to work with. And you don't always have to stick with the colors you see. I recommend you choose the gradients you like the best. Just do some color swatches on any kind of paper, could be cellulose paper too, why not? And try to understand the correlation between the paint consistency and its values, what the value is going to be after the paint dries. This is the #1 giveaway if you want to add some kind of underpainting. So even if you work with yellow, like you can take it to an orange deep yellow and still be able to have a blue underpainting. Just make sure that blue is going to be at a watery consistency because blue is stronger than yellow or orange yellow in value. So if you want to keep your value structure solid with no gaps or very few little gaps in between, you want to have a watery to milky consistency blue and a creamy consistency yellow deep. This is really the key, to have these two colors that behave very differently on the same value level. And why is this so important? Well, for once, you will understand how light you want your blue highlights to be, but most importantly, you will know when to stop. I have inserted my Tonal Values Masstone Scale for value and color reference, and if you're interested in knowing more about this tool, please check out the video in the description below. So maybe now you're wondering about my color choice and the reason why I chose phthalo blue combined with magenta. My intention was to create a very vibrant, pure shade of purple. And as you could see in the beginning, the consistency was a little thicker than watery. And so the next question may be, how can I tell the paint consistency precisely? And I will tell you right away, try not to judge by what you see on your palette, because the shininess of the water will make the mix look deeper and richer. So my recommendation to you is simply to tilt your palette and see how runny this mixture is. So I like to classify the mixtures in 4 different categories. The first one is watery, second one is milky, third one is creamy, which is not a runny mixture anymore, so it's thick and it stays together. And the fourth one, it's kind of like melted butter. And this one is typically the paint you get straight from the pan. Speaking of which, you can see what I mean by that in this part. The colors that I've used for this are quinacridone red, which is basically the red I'm using all along in this painting, and just a little bit of blue. It goes without saying that you always should be matching the wetness of the paper, or else you're going to form an unintentional bloom. One note is that for the yellow, I use the primary yellow, very standard. And again, I look at my Tonal Values Masstone Scale, and I know that in this case, I want to push my yellows to their creamiest consistency because the yellow masstone is actually not that dark at all. In fact, yellow is the natural color of the light. There is no such a thing as any other color, maybe like some kind of deep yellow, that sits in the lighter side of the tonal value scale. And so this yellow, I want to take it to the creamiest, darkest consistency possible. I do so because I want my reds to be supported by some structure so that my painting has some volume. And now let's talk about my red. Here I use a cool red, quinacridone magenta, and the way that I handle my reds are basically that they're quite simple because they already sit naturally on the mid-tones, on the mid-values when you use them at a creamy consistency. And so they're super easy to use and you can layer anything underneath with very little effort. You just need to think that you want something watery underneath the reds, and then you can push the reds up to a creamy consistency, and that's how you get the job done. I mean, it's not a coincidence that painting red subjects is so much more effortless than painting anything yellow or maybe blue. Like, you can definitely go overboard with your blues and go very weak with your yellows. These are the typical mistakes beginners make. And it's also the very reason why I came up with my tonal values and Masstone scale, because I think it's crucial, like super duper important, to understand the correlation between the Masstone of a color with its value. And if you're new to the word Masstone, it's basically the intensity of any given color at its creamiest and thickest consistency, and it sets like a value roof, meaning that the value, like that color, doesn't get any darker. So to close the circle of this value and paint consistency talk, we can summarize this painting in just about 3 washes. The first wash is when we worked with watery mixes, so watery blue, magenta, yellows, and then on top of that we layered some thicker yellow and some kind of milky to creamy red, and that's what gives the peachy appearance to the second layer of paint. And then now we are working with a thicker paint, quinacridone red, magenta, and a touch of burnt umber. I'm a huge fan of this mix, by the way. I feel like it deepens the reds in a very nice, rich way. For the little stem, I just use the same mix because I feel like it's unnecessary to add any other colors to this peach. It works really well the way it is, and sometimes just taking a step back from the reference is a good thing. If you made this tiny painting with me, congratulations, we made it till the end. Thank you so much for watching, for painting along. I hope you learned something new, maybe enjoyed this video too, why not? If so, I would love if you could give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao!